With one final turn of the key, Mrs. Justine locked her house for the last time. Her destination awaited her in a nursing home, her new abode. The taxi driver, a young pregnant woman expecting her first daughter, kindly assisted Justine with her luggage. It was a relatively short journey, yet what lay ahead bore a surprise that would unexpectedly transform the fates of these two women. Hello, my friends. I am Linda, and this is the Linda's Stories channel. I hope you enjoy this story. Justine, an 80-year-old lady who had made the same house her home since her marriage. The neighbourhood, once full of familiar faces and a comforting tranquility, had undergone a remarkable metamorphosis in recent years. The elderly neighbours who once populated the area had gone their separate ways, leaving behind abandoned homes or giving way to imposing commercial buildings. Unfamiliar faces now wandered the streets that were once known and affectionate. Justine remained unshakable, a resilient witness to the changes that the urban landscape had undergone. Justine could never have imagined that her life would be subjected to such a marked transformation, stemming from a singular event. The sun was beginning to set, painting the sky with soft tones of orange and pink as Justine returned to her home after a trip to the market. She had bought some ingredients to prepare a quiet dinner. As she approached the gate, however, she was surprised by an unexpected man whose presence caused a shiver of anxiety. The man held a sharp object, and his voice carried a harsh and threatening tone. He ordered Justine to hand over her purse. Justine, a simple and unpretentious woman, knew there was nothing of significant value inside the purse she carried. Still, the man persisted, demanding to enter the house. A feeling of fear enveloped her, but Justine tried to remain calm as she fitted the keys into the lock. Once inside, the tense atmosphere was palpable. The man began to search every corner of the house, looking for something valuable, perhaps precious jewelry or money. Seated on the sofa, Justine watched with apprehension each movement of the intruder, unsure of how the situation might unfold. Time seemed to drag as the man rummaged through drawers and cabinets, leaving a distressing mess in his wake. Still, Justine remained seated, watching with a mix of concern and helplessness. Eventually, the thief realized he would not find what he was looking for there. His frustration became evident, but he had no choice but to leave. In the end, he left taking only Justine's television, an item of insignificant value compared to the terror he had inflicted on the tranquility of her home. When the door closed, Justine finally breathed a sigh of relief, though still shaken by the incident. Silence once again filled the room, broken only by the sound of her own breaths and the traces of disarray left by the intruder. As soon as Justine's two sons were informed about the distressing episode, they immediately gathered to find a solution. They could not simply allow their mother to continue living alone in that neighbourhood. Justine, ever resilient, tried to downplay the severity of the event, assuring everything would be resolved and promising to be more vigilant. The sons knew they could not ignore the risks. Conversations unfolded, with Justine arguing that the incident was an exception and that she could handle the situation with further caution. For the sons, the thought of their elderly mother facing the challenges and uncertainties of daily life in that neighbourhood was disconcerting. Moreover, Justine's age brought with it the prospect of future difficulties they could not overlook. Although both sons were already grown men, their professional commitments often kept them away from home, on constant trips. Faced with this reality, they realised that it was crucial to make a decision that ensured the ongoing safety and well-being of Justine. After considering the possibilities, they reached a unanimous conclusion. It would be more prudent and appropriate for Justine to live in a nursing home. Although this was a decision that would certainly not be easy for anyone, they believed that providing Justine with an environment where she was surrounded by care and support was the most responsible choice. Though the decision was painful, Justine chose to accept what her sons had decided, mainly because she did not want to be a burden of concern for them. The idea of leaving behind the home that had been the stage for so many cherished memories was overwhelming. Every corner of that house contained traces of precious moments marking different phases of her life. The house had witnessed the early years of her marriage, when she and her husband had filled the space with love and shared dreams. The echo of the children's laughter filled every nook, reminding her of the time when her sons were young and played spiritedly in the yard. The dining room table carried the memories of family meals, and even in the darkest times, when sadness and mourning had descended upon the family, the house provided a safe shelter. Leaving that house represented a painful farewell to a significant chapter of her life. As Justine packed her last memories, the soft sound of the taxi's horn echoed from outside, marking the arrival of the vehicle that would take her to her new home. With a mix of nostalgia and sorrow, Justine turned the key in the lock and locked the door of her faithful companion for the last time. With just 2 suitcases as her companions, Justine was ready to embark on her new journey. As she approached the taxi, the driver kindly offered to help her load the suitcases into the car. A surprise awaited, causing Justine's eyes to widen in astonishment. The driver sported a noticeable baby bump. At that moment, the paths of these 2 women were about to intertwine, united by a unique and transformative experience that was to come. "Good afternoon, ma'am. Your house is beautiful," said the driver with a warm smile, approaching to help with the suitcases. "Let me help you with these. By the way, my name is Vivian." The driver's friendly words, filled with genuine interest and sympathy, created an instant bond between the 2 women. Justine, smiling in return to the kind gesture, replied, "Thank you. My name is Justine. Nice to meet you." Inside the car, the talkative driver kept the conversation going. "Are you going on a trip?" Justine smiled softly, shaking her head. "Actually, I'm moving. You're taking me to my new home." Justine's response piqued Vivian's curiosity, who tilted her head slightly, showing interest. As Justine shared her story with the attentive driver, Vivian listened with interest, capturing the details of the move and the motivation behind it. "And what about you, Vivian? When is your baby due?" asked Justine, showing genuine interest in the life of the pregnant driver. A bright smile lit up Vivian's face, lighting up her expression. "It's almost time, just a few more weeks," she replied, with a mix of excitement and calm. "It's going to be the biggest adventure of my life for sure." As the car continued its course, Vivian shared enthusiastically, "Today is my last day driving. Starting tomorrow, I'll be on rest, just waiting for my little girl to arrive. It's my first child, and my husband and I are really excited despite the financial difficulties. We managed to save up to buy a crib. Our rented home is small, but it's filled with love for my little one." The joy and excitement in Vivian's words were palpable, filling the car with a positive and contagious energy. The summer heat was intense, and even though the car's air conditioning was on, it seemed insufficient to alleviate the oppressive heat. Before the car could hit the road that would finally take them to the nursing home, an unexpected setback occurred. The congested city traffic interrupted the flow of the journey, turning the route into a series of stops and slow progressions. As the car remained stationary, the atmosphere inside was filled with the exchange of stories and the way the 2 women shared their lives. Justine noticed that Vivian seemed uncomfortable and immediately expressed her concern. "Is everything okay, dear?" Vivian smiled gently at Justine, thankful for the gesture of care. "I'm fine, it's just that the heat is really intense," she replied, showing gratitude for Justine's attention and concern. The wait in traffic finally ended when the car reached the road that would lead them to their destination. The landscape began to transform as the city was left behind and gave way to a rural and serene road with little movement. With just a few kilometers remaining to the destination, Vivian began to feel uncontrollable discomfort. The growing restlessness in her body alerted her that something was happening. "Justine, I'm going to have to stop the car. I'm not feeling well." The car stopped on the rural road, and an air of concern enveloped the 2 women. Vivian tried to cope with her sensations as the discomfort intensified, and then, amid a moment of surprise and emotion, Vivian's words filled the space. "Justine, I think the baby is going to be born." The words left Justine momentarily speechless as the reality of this unexpected situation unfolded before them. What started as a shared journey was about to transform into a landmark and unforgettable event. The elderly woman could hardly believe what was happening, and the circumstances made everything even more challenging. There was no cell signal, and no cars were in sight. Amid the uncertainty, Justine found her inner strength. Her voice was filled with calm and determination. "Vivian, dear, I'm right here with you." She knew she needed to act quickly to assist Vivian in such a critical moment. Justine quickly rearranged the back seat of the car to make Vivienne as comfortable as possible. Vivienne lay down, bracing herself for what was to come. The discomfort soon gave way to focused effort as Vivienne began to push, and Justine was there to assist with expertise and care. After a few minutes of tension and joint effort, the moving sound of a newborn's cry filled the space. The expressions of relief and joy on the faces of Justine and Vivienne were beyond words. With hands trembling from emotion, Justine delicately and tenderly held the newborn. She wrapped the baby in some clean clothes and handed her to Vivienne. Justine felt an indescribable sense of accomplishment and joy that she had never imagined she would experience at her age. The elderly woman carefully settled mother and daughter in the back seat of the car, driving cautiously to the nursing home, which was only a few kilometers away. Upon arrival, Vivienne and the baby received the attention and care they needed. An ambulance was called to take Vivienne to the nearest hospital, although the good news was that both mother and daughter were well. In the days that followed, Justine continued to settle into her new home. The place was truly pleasant, and she soon found comfort in her own room. She befriended other elderly residents and got involved in the activities offered by the institution. Although the adaptation was positive, Justine continued to think about Vivienne. She longed to hear from her, to know how she was doing and how her daughter was faring. Then, on a visiting day, a special surprise awaited Justine. The elderly woman was used to not receiving many visits, since her children travelled frequently. On Sundays, she usually watched other residents of the nursing home receiving family, children, and grandchildren. She planned to spend that Sunday as usual, reading a book in the garden, while observing the family interactions around her. However, that Sunday would turn out to be different from what she expected. Suddenly, an excited and infectious voice caught Justine's attention. "Miss Justine!" It was Vivienne's voice, filled with joy and emotion. In Vivienne's arms was little Lille, the baby Justine had helped to bring into the world. Justine flashed a radiant smile, barely able to contain the tears of emotion that welled up in her eyes. She extended her arms affectionately, and Vivienne placed little Lille into the elderly woman's embrace. That first thrilling visit was not the only one. The bond between Vivienne and Justine had been cemented by such a special moment during Lille's birth, and their connection continued to grow over time. With each new visit, Justine would witness Lille's progress and development. As Lille began to speak, she started to call Justine Grandma, melting the old lady's heart each time she did so. Vivienne recognized the special connection between Justine and her daughter, and made it a point to include the elderly woman in outings and celebrations, creating precious memories for everyone. Then, on one of these outings, Justine expressed a special wish. She asked Vivienne to take her to her old home, the place where she had lived for so many years. When they arrived, Justine surprised Vivienne by handing her the keys to the house. Her words were laden with meaning and generosity. "I know you and your family live in a small home. I want you to live here for as long as you need. I would be very happy knowing that little Lille can play in the place where I was so happy." And so the seasons continued to pass, and a serene evening marked the end of Justine's life cycle. The inexorable law of nature, which we all inevitably face, had been fulfilled. The calm of the night embraced the moment, while the farewell blended with gratitude for the times shared with that sweet lady. Sadness was there, but there was also comfort in remembering all the experiences and connections that had been created in her company. Weeks after Justine's departure, a lawyer visited Vivienne. She was surprised, thinking it might be an eviction notice, as Justine's children might be taking steps to reclaim the house. However, what she discovered shocked and moved her deeply. Justine had left clear instructions in her will. The house, the place where she had created so many happy memories, was now destined for little Lille. The legacy of love, generosity, and friendship that Justine had cultivated over the years found its final expression in the decision to leave the house as a gift for the next generation. The news touched Vivienne's heart, leaving her moved by Justine's touching gesture. The house, now filled with meaning and shared memories, would remain a place of joy and connection for little Lille and her family. Their story had intertwined in a uniquely profound way, through unexpected encounters, sharing significant moments, and finally, a legacy that transcended time. As the seasons continued to change, Justine's memory would remain alive in the hearts of those who had the honor of sharing her journey. If you enjoyed, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment with a number from 1 to 5 to let us know how much you liked the story. Also, watch the video that is currently on your screen. See you soon.